What a beautiful film.
Thank you.
For me, watching it and watching other films that you've made, you have such an innate way of catching a period, a moment of time. And I just wondered, is that something that's particularly important to you, capturing snippets of history?
Yes, but also making the texture of what it was like. I mean, when films I've made were set in the 50s, I know what it looked like. I mean, because I grew up. For instance, in the 50s, there were no primary colours. You never saw primary colour except in red lipstick, and that's the only time. And so I looked at that period, and I wanted to capture something that you can't really define. And Andy Harris, who did the production design for me, said, "Have you heard of a Danish painter called Hammershøi?" And I said, "No." He was active at the end of the 19th century, early 20th century, and they're like a kind of northern Vermeer. These empty rooms, open doors, open windows, and if there's ever a woman in it, she always has her back to the viewer. I said, we've got to make it look like that. We've got to make it look like Hammershøi.
The thing that struck me as well with the film is this just beautiful use of lighting. And I hear about Scotland, how it has a very unique type of lighting. You're working with a Scottish cinematographer as well. Did that help, having somebody that knows Scotland, if you know what I mean?
Yes, but we had to go to New Zealand for the summer shots, because you just can't... And the whole ending sequence is about... the whole of Kinradi coming to standing stones. It not only was flat grey light, there was a monsoon blowing. It was bitterly cold. I said, we just can't use this stuff. So I thought, we'll make it domestic, because after all, that's what it is about ultimately. It's about, and I thought, we've got these two shots of the sun coming up, and that's when we should hear him say, "I've come home." Because originally he was supposed to turn and walk into this stone, and he turned... He said, "What do I do now?" And I said, "You try and walk through the stone."
Oh, Terence. The other thing that strikes me as well, there isn't an overuse of score. There's a lovely use of, the lambs, the countryside, and that really helps immerse the audience. Again, was that something that was purposeful?
But I mean, I grew up in a time when there was not a lot of extraneous noise. There was the radio. That was it. And when you're out in the country, and when you're out in Scotland especially, you hear the silence. I mean, you literally hear the silence, and you hear one thing. And it's so powerful, that feeling of the immensity of the sky, the immensity of the landscape, but it's quiet. And silence is very powerful. It's as powerful as music.
It would be very easy to look at your character and see him as unsympathetic. Yeah. But for me... your character shows the harsh reality of what life would have been through. That's how we see it through his eyes, really. Yeah. Is that how you saw it?
Yeah, I mean, he is who he is. I would never play anybody for sympathy. But if somebody is an out-and-out bastard, then he's an out-and-out bastard. But even out-and-out bastards were little babies once, you have to accept that. So he has his emotions. They're pretty self-pitying, and they're not... they're in a different moral plane to the rest of us. I think he's he's not, I don't think he's twisted as such. Well, he is. He has become twisted. He's allowed his religion and his reality to change his personality to such a degree that he's not a nice human being by any means.
It's interesting though, as we see sort of kind of towards not the end of the film, but where he talks about missing his wife. Yeah. And you wonder whether, does he really miss his wife, or is he missing because he loves her and now he's lost her? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think because of where his mindset is, he can't believe anyone's left him. I think that's and that she took the babies. But it's interesting that he doesn't grieve the children. He grieves her. I think she was the only companion he ever had, and his expectancy of the matrimonial rights were just, and then to seriously believe that when she goes, he can look to his daughter to perform the same function, kind of really says it all. It's like he's in a pretty dark place,
How do you prepare them for a character like that? Where are you sourcing your darkest sort of areas to bring that to the screen?
Guys like that, you go on set and you play it. You don't bring him home. You don't give him a second thought. You really wouldn't want to. I've got 3 daughters. Trust me, you would not want to bring that guy home.
You wouldn't, would you?
No. I'm not like him at all. Thank God.
I can tell. The other thing as well, they say don't work with children and animals, but the way you handle those horses, was that something that you brought to this film already? Because you seem pretty...
Oh yeah, I love horses. Yeah, I've done a lot of work with horses. You know, they don't always like me, but I like horses.
And I've got to talk about Terence Davies. What a wonderful director.
Wonderful. Absolute sweetheart.
He has a wonderful way of capturing a certain period of time, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's got a beautiful kind of visual eye. It's poetic and lyrical, and he brings such a wonderful atmosphere on set. I mean, every day it's an absolute pleasure to go on set with Terence. He's up and he's friendly, and there's no side to him. Wonderful, lovely.
What a great character. I mean, you get to play utter extremes of a part, don't you, in this film?
I mean, it is handcrafted for a young actor, I have to say. It's beautifully written, and that comes from the novel, but also Terence's adaptation and understanding of that character is so grounded and rooted in a reality that he appreciates, and therefore my understanding of that character kind of assimilated with Terence's, and so that's why it worked, I think, certainly in production. Let's hope everybody enjoys it that way, but yeah, the gamut of emotion is so huge, and to be able to do this job at this point in my career is just, it's been incredible.
And what you notice with actually the majority of Terence's films, then they're non-dialogue heavy. So does that allow you then to concentrate more perhaps on the physicality of your character?
I think so, yeah. I think physicality is a huge part of this film, but I think equally there was space for evolution, dialogue evolution, time evolution, patience, temper, relation, all that. It was space. It was negotiable. So nothing was ever set in stone. I think the only thing that felt like it was set was a particular tracking shot, or maybe the mise en scène that Terence's work is so renowned for. So to just take up a massive mantle in that picture was really exciting. But yeah, I mean, he's very open as a director, and selected a bunch of actors who were very open and are very open, so that creates a lot of exciting rewards, you know.
He has a lot of passion and verve, doesn't he, Terence, as well, so I imagine he brings that to set.
Yeah, and an incredible sense of humour, which you wouldn't probably understand from his films, you know. There's a wonderful sense of humour that he's got. So everything was very light. Contrary to what you see on the screen, everything is very, very light. At times when we go into those really, really sinister, dark moments, or the really, really weighted, heavy moments that require utter concentration and authenticity and performance, there's space. I remember getting that moment on set to just go to that place, and if it felt like we had it after 1 and 2, then we were done. If it felt like we wanted to go again, or for him, for myself, for anyone, then we had that option, and that just hands over the reins to you as an actor, and it's so trusting, and it creates a platform of confidence. Yeah.
Great collaboration.
Yeah, utter collaboration and communion of ideas. You know, yeah, it was a beautiful thing to be a part of. It really
Beautiful.
was. It was something that I'm very proud to be telling.
Your character goes on a journey. She has to grow up quick. I did. It was wonderful.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, she does. I mean, I feel like it's very modern in that way. You know, like, because at the moment, young women do have to grow up quick. So I feel like that's, you know, obviously it's a period piece, but there's so many like modern female kind of energies going through it. Yeah,
definitely. And the film is pretty much shot in not quite one location, but mainly at the house. Were you able to then shoot that chronologically?
Well, we shot exteriors first in New Zealand, then we did all the interiors in Luxembourg, and then we did all the exteriors in Scotland. So yeah, so we kind of tried to do it chronological when we were obviously in the environment we were shooting, but it wasn't always. So
it's hard when you're going through such a character arc, aren't you, as well? It's such a journey for her.
Yeah, definitely. I suppose you have an amazing director like Terence there, so I felt so safe that he had, you know, such a clarity in his imagination of what this was. So, you know, all you had to do was go, where are we at? And he knows. So.